Hello, and welcome to the new season of the NBA 75. This is the Ball and All podcast. I do this as a basketball podcast that I do. My name is Mpho, and you can follow me on the various social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Adam Pomereki. You can also subscribe to this channel, the Ball and All podcast. What does this channel do? It is a basketball podcast. It's a show, it's a YouTube channel, it's a basketball podcast, and we discuss NBA related matters, WNBA related matters, as well as Basketball Africa League related matters. Those are the three tournaments we cover. We did talk a little bit of Olympics here and there, but it's largely a basketball show. And because the NBA, the 75th year of the NBA starts on Tuesday, I thought, hey, let's have a discussion. We've been talking WNBA finals. The Sky and the Mercury are locked in 1-1, game 5 tonight. But now we've got NBA 75 to look forward to. The preseason is done, thank God. Guys, let me tell you this. I don't like the preseason. I think the preseason is fool's gold. Some teams, like I think the Kings were 3-0, and then they beat the Lakers. They're now 4-0. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything special. So I look at the preseason with a little pinch of salt. I'm not a fan. I'll watch a quarter here or there to see what matchups and lineups have been put out. But largely, where it all matters is on opening night. And oh, what an opening night that do we have. It's an incredible opening night. It is a ring night for the NBA champions. That is the Milwaukee Bucks. They will be presenting their rings, first time in 50 years, to Giannis and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and Bobby Porter Jr. I love Bobby, and Brooke Lopez. And it's going to be an incredible night. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be the first tip-off. And then later in the afternoon, the supposed and most possibly a Western Conference Finals matchup on day one, the Golden State Warriors and the LA Lakers. And I'll let you know later on as to what it is. We'll be playing each other, but that's what it is. But now let's talk some preseason news, some of the big news that have happened, and give you a little bit of an indication. Ben Simmons, throughout, I'm sure you've heard, if you haven't been living under a rock, Ben Simmons decided to want out of Philadelphia after the drama he created. Oh, well, not the drama he created, but the drama that was created after their exit to the Atlanta Hawks in the playoffs, where Ben Simmons effectively didn't want to shoot the basket and his teammates threw him under the bus. He was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not coming in. And he held out. Little did he know, or his people know, that he could get fined, and he's been fined. He was started to be fined $1 million for every day up to $1 million now for every day that he missed, and all the games. It tallied up to $1 million. He realized that he didn't realize that was going to happen, so he then is back. He came back on Monday after holding out for about 4 weeks. He's back in the facility. He's taking his COVID tests and everything else. Now he just has to meet his teammates. Danny Green was said to have that, look, things were said and things have happened. And all the Philadelphia 76ers want is an apology from Ben Simmons. Well, remember Ben Simmons, the management of the Sixers went to LA to go see him. He told them, trade me. He literally saw at them and then said, trade me. And then when his teammates wanted to come see him in LA, he said, no, it's fine. Don't even bother coming. So now there's a lot of reconciliation that's going to happen. And that's some of the things we're going to watch as the season starts. But the other thing that's been hanging around the NBA is the vaccinations. 90% of the NBA is vaccinated, but there are some high-profile names that are not vaccinated. One of those high-profile names is Kyrie Irving. The only reason why it's made such a big deal because Bradley Beal's also unvaccinated. Michael Porter Jr. is also not unvaccinated. He got a massive rookie extension. Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic got extended. Andrew Wiggins was unvaccinated, and then he realized that because he's in San Francisco, he will miss half the season, and this is his extension season, so he needs to play. So he decided to get vaccinated very quickly within a couple of days. Now that's fine. But Kyrie Irving being in New York's rules on vaccination are that you're not allowed in public sporting arenas if you're unvaccinated. That means Kyrie cannot play for the Nets. He can play for the Nets away from home, but he can't play for the Nets at home. And there are some places away from home that he won't be able to play because he's unvaccinated. So essentially, the team decided to effectively cut Kyrie Irving from the team because they didn't want a part-time player. A guy plays on the road, but he can't practice with the team. And he misses all the home games. So now the question is effectively putting everything in Kyrie's court to say, if you get vaccinated, you come back in. If you don't, you lose out on all the money that you're supposed to come. And the other added problem with Kyrie is that this is extension season. James Harden sorted out his extension with the Nets, or is sorting out his extension with the Nets right now. It's probably going to be 140, 40, 50 million. Kyrie also needs to do that as well. And so that's another issue about it, because now you can't do extension talks when you are not playing or not on the team. So once Kyrie comes back vaccinated, they'll integrate him back into the team and they can go. And so that's effectively, in a nutshell, what's been happening in the NBA. Nobody's been talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Everyone's been quiet. The Lakers got a lot older in the season. We're going to talk about that. What I'm planning to do for this Ball and All podcast for the NBA season is to discuss 3 teams a week. I'm going to call them my League Pass teams. I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to talk about their rosters, the GM, the style of play, and what their ambitions are going forward into the season and what we've seen so far in the season, just to give you a flavor of all the teams and to also give you or me, if you want to watch it with me, an indication of the landscape of the NBA, which is pretty nice and pretty cool. And also kind of, because there's so many games, and so sometimes you just be like, okay, let me watch this team and watch this team alone and see how they do. And so that's going to be quite interesting and fascinating. And if you send through the comments on YouTube, Twitter, everything else, you can DM me. That'll be great. So now, today I wanted to talk very quickly for about 10 minutes about it's a preview to the NBA season, and what better ways to talk about my NBA tiers. I'm going to give you the teams going into the season that I see where they sit in the NBA pantheon. Of whether they're champions or whether they're in the lottery of where they sit. And so that's what I'm going to do right now, and try and give you an indication of where it goes. And then, to give you a bit of a flavor, let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I've put a team higher or lower? And so let's start with we'll start from top to bottom. We've got the championship tier. I call these guys the championship tier because they are locks to win a championship. If they get to the NBA Finals, they will win it. They have to I think they'll face each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. The big thing about this is that for me, the Bucks are favorites. And they've only become favorites this week is because of the Kyrie situation. If the Nets are fully healthy with Kyrie, they beat the Bucks any day. I think that Kyrie was the key that would have unlocked the Brooklyn Nets title last season. But the Bucks, being very good amongst themselves, Holiday, Giannis, and Middleton, deserve their respect. And so today they are my presumptive favorites going into the NBA season to win it again, to repeat again, only to be stopped possibly by whoever comes out of the West. And here's the next tier, which is the champion chasers. The champion chasers, well, there's only one team in that right now, and that's the Lakers. They, I think, are the best team in the West. Their regular season record will not be good. Tell you that right now. They'll probably be beaten by the Suns or the Jazz or even maybe the Mavericks, but they'll have home court advantage. That I can guarantee you, and they'll make their way through the West as the West champions to come through. Then and I think they're in a tier on their own because I don't think any other team can match that level of playoff. LeBron, AD, Russell Westbrook still good enough. I know everyone's trying to figure out whether Russ is still good enough. And the last time Russ was in the playoffs, AD and LeBron just punished him with the Rockets. So there's a lot to happen with the Lakers, which is why they're a tier below, because they're not good enough for those two, but they are way better than the rest. But during the regular season, you won't see that because they're going to try different combinations. But in the playoffs, this team will switch on, and that's why they're in that tier on their own. A tier below that, the regular season kings. These guys are going to run with the regular season. They're going to overachieve above what they are expected to do from a regular season wins perspective. Like last year, the Jazz and the Suns ran away with it, number 1 and 2 records in the league. only to falter in the playoffs. So I do see the Suns and the Jazz doing that again. Very good. They just need to figure out how they play in the playoffs and sort that out. And the Suns, please just give DeAndre Ayton his extension. The man's done what you asked him to do. Just give him the extension. Stop being scared. And trying to look for someone else. You're like a man about to get married, and all of a sudden you are seeing every woman as beautiful. You're looking everywhere, and you just don't want to commit. So just commit to DeAndre Ayton and just let it be. The Jazz need to figure out what they're going to do with Conley and that aging roster, but I still think they've got it in them, the legs in them with Donovan Mitchell to get to the playoffs and to get a home court advantage. But that's the other thing. Two teams there that I've put in and you might question, the 76ers. With or without Ben Simmons, the 76ers will be a 50-win team. They are very good. They're going to overachieve, probably even 55 wins this season, maybe even hitting 60. Joel Embiid is still very good. MVP level last year. I'm assuming he's going to continue that this year. And defensively, they're still very good. Yes, Ben Simmons makes them all world, but they're going to need Ben Simmons to play well in order for them to be able to trade him. So it might be that this season Ben Simmons might play so well for the 76ers up until the trade deadline, and then they're forced to move at the trade deadline, which is in February. The Mavericks are a team that I think, and I'm giving a lot to this team, even though their roster doesn't look that great. It's all on Luka. I think Luka, this is a Luka MVP year. I think Luka's going to step up, and he's going to give the Mavericks more 50 wins, and he's going to separate them from the rest of the West. And I do think the Mavericks can win home court advantage in the West. And that will be better because last time they've always been playing away from home for the past 2 seasons. Yes, they haven't won a playoff series, but I do think Luka, this is his season to go through with Jason Kidd and everybody else. The rest of that roster, and I'm thinking KP, I'm believing in KP to come and show us why they called him the unicorn again. The rest of that roster doesn't look that pretty, but those two can take Dallas very far. Yeah, I know. I'm believing in KP. I can't believe myself. The next tier here, and there's one team that I think is in this tier largely because of the first third of the season, and that is Golden State Warriors. I would have put them in the regular season Kings had Klay Thompson be available and fit to start the season on opening night. He's not. He's only going to start playing in December, January. So that means they're going to have to go through a third of the season without Klay. What does Golden State look like without Klay? We saw that already. It's not pretty. Steph's going to do quite a lot. Yes, Jordan Poole looks amazing. It was preseason, so I take that with a pinch of salt. He's going to be quite important for them. But how do they work around Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody? Wiseman looked very bad whenever he played with Steph on the floor. They had to take him off and play Draymond at the 5 just to make Golden State get into that play-in spot. So they're going to be in the playoffs because when Klay comes back, I think it will click. And they could even be in the Western Conference Finals if it goes their way. They'll have to play away from home, but they're one of the best shooting teams with Klay. And I do see a Lakers Golden State Warriors final. Western Conference final. It's just that had Klay been there, they've been a little bit higher. Another team to make this level are the Bulls. I think the Bulls have gotten a really good roster around them. They've got obviously Zach LaVine. They've got Vucevic. They've also got Lonzo Ball. They have a really nice core going around there. They've got the guy from the Spurs whose name escapes me. Who came from the Raptors. He's also very good mid-range game. They got him at a steal. I thought that deal, about $20 million a year for 4 years, was a steal. So I think the Bulls are going to be here, 6th seed mostly. I think the Celtics are going to be much better than they were last year. They didn't make the play, or they made the play in and they got knocked out. But I do think they'll be much better this year. I think it's a lot settled. Ime Udoka as a coach is someone I really do hope does really well. And so I've given the Celtics that. The Hawks are going to try and be better than they were last time. The Nuggets are, I think, if you're asking, I think are a level lower, largely because of the Jamal Murray injury. Jokic will play MVP ball. Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. has to take a step up, but that roster doesn't look like it's a regular season juggernaut type of a roster. I think they'll make the playoffs, and like Portland, they'll be competitive, and they are a playoff roster, but they're not like fighting for home court. So too the Miami Heat with Kyle Lowry. I do think they could be a sneaky dark horse in all of this. But I don't think in the regular season they're going to try too hard. I think they're going to try and wait for the back end, which is what Miami have done over the past decade. Try wait for the playoffs and then pounce. the play-in pushes below there, these are the teams that are going to be knocking on the play-in. If you look at that, from the play-in pushes upwards, there are 22 teams in the NBA that are in my rankings, and that's what I think is going to be quite a competitive season, because a lot of teams are going to be fighting for a playoff spot or getting into the play-in that are there. Let's look at the West. The Clippers, without Kawhi, I think they're a play-in team. Paul George is great, but Reggie Jackson needs to prove it over 81 games. Nick Batum, and the rest of that roster, they've got Justice Winslow, which bothered me. It's weird. Eric Bledsoe is also quite weird. They need to prove that they can get to the playoffs without him, and I think it'll be a little bit of a struggle with a much stronger West. With the Warriors getting better, Mavericks looking like they're out for blood, and Portland not having changed much with Dame and CJ still there. So that's going to be something that they're going to have to look at. So I think the Clippers are going to be like the 8th seed. They'll make the playoffs, but they'll have to go through the play-in. And then they're going to have to fight off Memphis, New Orleans, and the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves will be better this season. New Orleans should be better this season, but Zion is injured, so I don't know what we're going to get and what Zion we're going to get when he comes back from that foot injury. In the East, I think the Hornets, the Knicks, Washington, and the Raptors all in the same group, all at the same level. Knicks fans are going to kill me. The Wizards fans are also going to kill me. But, guys, your teams, I think the Knicks did well to retain the squad, but everybody else got better around them. The Bulls got better. The Heat got better. Atlanta were better side in the first place. We saw that. And Celtics were always better. They just needed to make sure that they're healthy, and I think they are. The Raptors, we don't know what we're going to get. They're playing at home. They actually could be a playoff team in the East if they're very good. So that's something that you need that we will be watching going forward. And then the lottery level teams, the Cavs are going to tell you that they are going to be pushing for the play-in. I don't believe it. They've got a very young core. They made some very sketchy moves. Made some very letting go of Larry Nance Jr., getting in Larry Markkinen from the Bulls. That bothered me a lot, especially when they've got Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, who they're paying Jared Allen $20 million a year. Great deal for Jared Allen. I've also got Ricky Rubio, and they also need to decide what they're going to do with Sexland. They're Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. Sexton is asking for a rookie extension. This is his final season. Are they going to give it to him, or are they going to wait for free agency? That's going to be a big question for them. The Pistons with the number one pick, Cade Cunningham. That's going to be quite interesting to see. They're building a nice young core. Still going to be a long way. So too are Houston. They're rebuilding. John Wall's their big question, but he's not going to play. They're going to try to look for someone to trade for him. The Pacers fans also going to be angry at me. They would want to be in that play-in game until we see a little bit better from them. Obviously, they've got a new coach now after the drama of Nick Bjorkgren last year. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. It's Rick Carlisle, so they'll be better, but I do think the personnel needs to be moved a little bit in order to make them better. I do think they need to find a way to get either higher draft picks in the lottery or better stars that can partner with the guys that they have. But I don't think they're going to do it with Malcolm Brogdon. I like Malcolm Brogdon, but I don't think he's that level to get you in the playoffs consistently. OKC, I think, will be the worst team in the league. They're just tanking because Sam Presti likes first round picks. They'll have to decide what they're going to do. The Magic also, they did some trades to go a lot younger, to go into a rebuild. So that's going to be interesting to see. I say Jalen Suggs could be Rookie of the Year candidate out of the Magic. I think the Magic could be punching above their weight, but we'll have to see how that goes. The Sacramento Kings, the Kings just honestly badly run franchise. De'Aaron Fox needs better, honestly, but they'll still be in that bottom tier. And the Spurs, Pop, yes, you'll give Pop, you'll say no, but like, it's a Spurs team, so Pop's obviously going to help try and make them a playing team like last year. But what he did was he sold. They all gone to rebuild. They've gotten younger, and so that's going to be quite interesting. Watch out for their first round pick Josh Primo. He's 19 years old. People were wondering what they were doing, were picking him there early in the lottery. So we're just gonna have to see what Pop has. But he's a great coach. He can coach them out of that lottery thing. But I do think it may be time for the Spurs to just sit in the lottery and see where the balls fall. I think even for like the Pacers, I think sometimes you just need to have a season where you sit, see where the balls land, and see who you could get. You could get a franchise chasing star. So that's pretty much what it is. Those are my tiers. Please do let me know what you think. I'm going to try to do the show every week to go through what's happening in the week and also go through my league pass teams. The tiers will change, and we'll get to January, and I'll change the tiers and move teams around, and then we'll talk All-Star and everything else. So I've got a plan for every week, and like as I've said, I'm going to do my league pass teams of the week. My league pass teams for this first week are the Trailblazers, the Timberwolves, and the Spurs. I'm going to sit, I'm going to watch them, I'm going to look at their roster, I'm going to give you all the ins and outs on all these three teams, let you know what I saw, what I liked, what I didn't like off the back of my hand. When you're interested to see Chauncey Billups as new head coach of the Trailblazers, the Timberwolves also have a new coach in Chris Finch. They ended the season well last year, which is why I've got them in that play-in bracket. Good to wanting to see D'Angelo Russell, Cat, and it is not Wiggins. Wiggins is gone, the number one. Anthony Edwards, all fit playing together. There were rumors for the Ben Simmons trade, which I think makes that team a lot better. So it's going to be talking about that. And also the Spurs, like I just spoke about the Spurs. What will their ambitions be this season? Have a look at that roster, see what it is. Because now the games count. Preseason doesn't matter, guys. It does not matter. But anyway, that's the end of it all. Thank you very much for watching the Ball and All podcast. Remember to follow me on the various platforms on the screen there at the below. Remember to also like the podcast as well on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day, and le sale kakahiso.